Streaming would here starting the stream won't do anything.
Hello.
We have to wait for YouTube. Yeah, now it is live.
Now it is live. Okay.
Now it is, yes.
All right. So yeah. So Nikshan, today we will be going through one game where you will see the power of pawns as well as the power of bishops. In this, it is a very interesting game in which
Hmm.
all this are being displayed. So, but strictly speaking, this is not a two bishop game like you always see like the power of two bishops and this thing. But it is not like that. Although it has some attractive features that is connected with games where two bishops will oppose two knights, so that will be covered here in this game. Or this two bishop will be like countering a bishop and knight, so those kind of things will be there. And so like he has a power like two bishops, but at a later point of time he exchanges that benefit for some another benefit, some other advantage. Like he gives up his one of his bishop for a knight, and then he makes a strong pawn chain, and that that like there is one pawn that he wins, and then he creates a strong pawn chain on the queen side. So this is what you can expect, like some strong pawn chain coming up and almost devouring the piece that is knight. So here you will also find like a good example of white squares and dark squares, this in this game, and also active play on the queen side. So all this like active play on the white squares, active play on the queen side. So all this will be covered. The whole game is like like dominantly a Smyslov style game. Like of course he's Smyslov, so he will play a Smyslov style game. Like almost like you will feel that there is a touch of Capablanca here, which is like delighted to play over this game. You know. So the game started with e4, and so white was Bondarevsky, and black was Smyslov. So e5, knight f3, knight c6. So it was Ruy Lopez. Ruy Lopez means to which square the bishop will go.
B5,
Right. And the most common move of Ruy Lopez, a6. He went
A6.
here, bishop a4, knight f6, and now Bondarevsky uh, didn't play the knight. Okay, so knight b3. After knight b3, castle or normal move and bishop e7. Now here the normal move is to play rook e1, and there is also like this is all opening theory. So there is also one like this one. It's called the Waller attack. So these are the normal moves. But here Bandravsky thought that let me try something else. Why not I take this knight, and make double pawns for black, So this is the main line. So with double pawns for black, so he gives up one of his advantage, the two bishops, and he inflicts a structural damage to the queen side of Smyslov. So in Ruy Lopez, you always take it with the queen pawn because you get the queen this diagonal, and yeah,
Queen 5.
yeah, queen pawn. So here you see that white can take this, but black can also take this. So white tries to protect the e4 pawn because in Ruy Lopez for white, e4 is the most prized position. So he doesn't want to give up that. But there are some other like moves also, like he can try, not definitely, like no problem with that. Like he can play d3, and he can also play a knight move like this. But like he can also play queen to e1. So these are all variations. But rook e1 is also okay, no problem with that. Fine. So now white has protected his pawn, and but white is also attacking this pawn. Now black has some choices. Either he can play this move by which he can protect his, but this will like mean that this file will get closed. Also, this bishop will act like a pawn. It won't act like a bishop. No, this is like a pawn. Also, bishop will support a pawn, so he doesn't like that move. Smyslov doesn't like that move. Queen d6 was also a move, but that also he didn't like. Smyslov liked to play knight to d7. No, so maybe later stage he wants this move to be played. No, after castling maybe. So Smyslov played this move, and this also maybe at a later stage he can take this knight here, like after this threat has been marginalized. So you can place this pawn here, right? And so he plays pawn to d4. Pachiao, pawn takes pawn. So black is just a second. Okay, so yeah, very sorry. So maybe I should have informed her that
Okay.
I will be not. So d4, no. So Bondarevsky tries to break free, no, and wants to develop his pieces very quickly. So he chooses to play a d4 instead of d3, and so pawn takes pawn and queen takes pawn. So directly he tries to, take this
Pressure the
independent
G7.
of bishop. Uh, there is another move like he can play g bishop to this one, but Smith chooses the standard move, like a developing move. Why to move a same piece again? So he castles it. Now Bondarevsky plays bishop f4. So he sees that c7 is weak because it is being protected by heavy piece, a queen, and so he can aim for this c7 pawn. So that's why, and he also does some development. That is a good thing. So bishop to f4. Now, as you know that this pawn, which the knight was protecting, this pawn. Now this has already been exchanged. So there is no point of keeping the knight here, right? So there is no point of keeping the knight here. So let's develop it. So he develops it on c5. Once he develops on c5, the discovered attack comes on the queen, and Bondarevsky exchanges the queen. Now, which one will you prefer? Will you prefer with the rook or will you prefer with the bishop?
Rook.
Rook. So, if you play with the rook, you will lose this pawn. Bishop takes c7.
Okay.
So, you will take it with the bishop.
Pressure.
Okay. So, Bondarevsky continues with his development, knight b3. And now, Smyslov gives a breakthrough. So, he plays f5. Now, so, he directly challenges the e4 square with f5. Now, there are like some variations. Let's say he plays white exchanges, but that exchange won't be good for white because this will give the bishop takes pawn, and then it will give indirectly threat on c2, and he has to protect that threat. So that is not a good, good for white. And there is another way, like what to do about this, and he cannot eat it. So let's move ahead, and then white can place the black can place the bishop in the knight here. The advantage is that the knight is very strongly placed here. There is no pawn by white which can dislodge this knight. This is a almost an isolated pawn because it has gone so far ahead than its peers. Also, if you see, the knight will be targeting these squares, this, and this. So white cannot place his knight here because this knight actually watches on this square, you know, and it also threatens this move. You know, if you play this, then also it threatens this move. Now you can play this because our queens have also been exchanged. So you can play that. So this also actually threatens the bishop as well. Like if you say, like this. So this is a very good move played by Smyslov. Like this is what was played in the game, and this later on proved that White had lot of troubles after he played e5 and Smyslov played knight e6. In his maybe book or whatever, like Smyslov recommended that instead of uh, e5, white could have played this move, bishop to g5, then piece exchange, and then pawn rook 3. Okay, and then white can also take this, compelling black to uh, exchange. So he takes the pawn. White has to take it with this knight because his knight is under attack. Pawn takes knight, and then knight takes pawn, and then bishop to f5. So this would have been at least better and an even game, but that didn't happen in the game. So this is what Smyslov was expecting the game to go towards. Like he was calculating, but the opponent played e5, which is not a good move, and now we will see why. So Smyslov put his knight on a strong square, which it cannot be destroyed. As you know, White has already given up his light squared bishop many moves ago on the move sixth. So there is no point in no, thinking that I will take it from the bishop. No,
Yeah.
and it is like attacking this one. So here there are many advantages of putting the knight here. Like so you can see that this is a pass pawn of white. No, there is nobody to stop. There is no pawn to stop here. So who actually can block the pass pawn? No, there are two people who are experts in blocking. The first choice should be a pawn itself, so but if there is a pawn, then there is not a pass pawn, it is a normal pawn, like pawn and pawn. So if this is a pawn here, it will be blockaded. So that is the best blockade you can have. Another best blockade, if the pawn is not available here, as you can see, is the knight. The knight can blockade, but the the advantage is that the knight can attack different squares while even blockading. So he can attack here, it can attack here, he can attack here, he can even go here. So and he is this is very flexible, that in its movement, that if he takes it, then he can come back again. So that is also there. And knight is also watching on this square, like he cannot use this square, and he is also watching on this square, the so this square, this square, this square. So all of the squares which is watching, and directly threatening to play g5. So this is also being threatened, and there is also some threat. Like there is a like knight takes bishop. If you don't do anything, like let's say I play a3, then you will lose your bishop. So he has to
Mm.
take this seriously. So there are two moves, like you can play bishop e3, but that will block this rook from eyeing on that pawn. So he played bishop to d2. He cannot play it here because that will mean that he will lose a piece, because there is a bishop and a knight, both are there. So he will lose a piece. So bishop d2. Smyslov continues with g5. So he gives a pawn push. He actively uses his pawns. So the pawn starts to move and it starts to dislodge white pieces from their good squares. So what is the good square
Mm.
for white knight? It was f3. And Smyslov wants that in the next move I will dislodge the piece. Not only dislodge the piece, let's say he will also win the piece. Let's say if I play a move, no, any normal move, then your next move will be g4,
G4.
and the knight is gone. He cannot come here. He cannot come here. He cannot come here because that is also lost. He cannot come here. The bishop is lying. So, and he cannot go here, here, and here. So you can see like there are white doesn't have its species in the proper way that it should. Like they are, you can say, uh, they are putting foot on each other. Like no, what do no? So they are like conflicting each other for that those squares. So if the
Hmm.
knight wants to come here, actually the bishop is here, and if the bishop wants to come here, then the knight is here. So they are not in a proper order. So Smyslov sees these small things and he starts the pawn rolling on the king side. Now, Bondarevsky thinks that what to do about this. The immediate threat is g4. Okay, I cannot put my knight here, so I cannot do anything about these two squares. No, so let me try to take hold of these squares by playing knight to e2. And if now Smyslov plays this, I will put my knight here. You know, and I will directly challenge this knight. So this is what he thinks about it. And also this will give some square for the bishop as well. All right, followed, Dikshan.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So now Smyslov uh, feels that if I place this, white will come here to d4. So how to prevent this, Dikshan? How to prevent the knight to come to d4?
You can go C5.
c5. Right. Easy moves. So now the thread is again renewed. If I play this one, your knight is gone. Yeah. So now Bondarevsky thinks that at least now I can, as this knight is come here, I can put this bishop here so that my knight can come here. Got it? So now if,
Yes.
so that why he clears the d2 square for the knight. So now if you play this, I will come here. No problem. To d2. But here, Smyslov again push the pawn with the second like wing, like on both the sides. The now he's harassing the thing, the white pieces. So advance on the both the side of the board is embracing the white, whose pieces keep getting in each other's way. Black's
True.
new threat. So what is black's new threat? Black's new threat is to play. Let
B4.
me end it. Yeah, to b4. Now he rescued it. Then he places again g4. Threat is renewed.
True.
Right. This is the threat. That's why Bondarevsky makes some way for the bishop. He says that, okay, if you place this, I will put it here. All right. Anyway, Smyslov doesn't push. He instead develops the bishop, and he gives a good view for the bishop. All right. So this is a good view for the bishop. Now this knight needs to go somewhere. Okay. So there are some squares by which it will go. If you see in the here, which square will you prefer that it will go?
Mm, C1, to be honest.
C1. No, that is very passive. He goes G3.
But then F4 can be a move.
But F4 can be a move. Then you have this H5 na, coming. Like you can plus your knight here. So that is what like Bondarevsky was thinking. The reason he put this knight here was that he wanted to come here, and then here, and
Hmm.
no, because in center there is no way that he can do something. In center there is no way. He cannot come here. He cannot come here. There is no place in the center where he can settle his knight. So he thinks that I will go from here, g3, and this way. So that is the plan of Bondarevsky. Anyway, so Smyslov continues with his plan. So now this knight has only this square, knight to d2,
D2.
and Smyslov now develops his another bishop and also makes way for the rooks. So he plays to bishop to e7. Okay, so now he's ready to centralize his rooks in the game. Bondarevsky continues with his plan, knight to h5. That knight is going to come to f6. And now Smyslov plays king to f7. All right.
Yeah.
So his intention is that to play king to g6 and then place it here. No, so I will show you. So Bondarevsky played knight to f1, and Smyslov actively uses his king now. No, he doesn't fear mate because there is no mate in this position. So it is a more or less an endgame kind of position, but with more pawns here and here, more pieces and pawns. But the nature of the position is not dynamic. It's more like technical. So that's why this no can actively use his king.
Hmm.
So so he's actually Smyslov is forcing the knight to come here. No, because if he places his knight backwards, then this is very strong. Okay, and then this it will like dominate the knight. No, like he will get smothered like this. He cannot continue like passively. So this is the only option left then. So that's why Bondarevsky has to play knight to f6. So this is what happened in the game. Like king f7, knight f1, king g6, and then he was forced to play this. Now, if you see that the knight is on the sixth rank, that is generally said to be a minus thing for black because his third rank has a knight and it occupies these squares, right? But Smyslov conducts this in a very masterly fashion. He is not worrying about the knight here. Also, if you see, the knight has no way to go back. If he wants to go back, he cannot come here. He cannot come here. He cannot come here. He cannot also come here and here. He can come here, of course. So let's see. Uh, but now he cannot come here after this move. Smyslov shuts down the only way back. So White's knight occupies an advanced post, but the drawback is that its retreat has been cut off. Bondarevsky fights for this square, d7. So he places his for also for the open file as well. Like he doesn't want to give open file to Smyslov. It will be devastating. Smyslov exchanges the rooks. Another pair of rooks are also exchanged. Bondarevsky takes it. He doesn't want to give file to the to black, so he takes it. So exchange of rooks has simplified the position now, but it is left with white with some problems. Now, what is black's threat? Black's threat is like he can put the knight here, and the threat will be to push the knight eat on e2, and that will be like a fork.
Correct.
Right. So knight to h3 is played. Also, if you see here, now the knight to f4 also points to the g2 square. G2. So that is also bad. No, so that was his threat. So he immediately tries to take care of the threat and secures his g2 point. Now he's waiting for the knight to come, but the knight doesn't come. Instead, another move comes, f4. Now, if you see that, you will say, "Oh, right, you are attacking my knight, but buddy, you are losing this pawn. Why? Will you take the pawn? Then what is the
Uh,
refutation? What should black play?
mm, Black can play f3.
f3. Why not this one? Simple. h5. Knight is trapped.
Ah, that works as well. I
Here
was
also,
trying to break the
the
king's
white
defense.
pieces, its own pieces, pawns are getting in the way of each other. So that's why f4 is a very good move, and he cannot take the pawn. What about this move? Here also there is one trap.
C7?
c7, c6.
C6, sorry, C6,
Yeah,
yeah.
see, this is also trap. So he cannot go here as well after f4. So that's why Bondarevsky played knight to d1. He doesn't want to play f1 because maybe he want to take his king out from here. So he plays knight to d1. Now his plan might be like to come out with maybe sometime in future to play bishop here and then come out here. But Smyslov now gives up one of his bishops. He takes this. So what may be thinking that let me take this knight and after that I will have bishop to e4 because this knight is gone from here. So e4 square is empty. So direct attack on c2. So this is how you should exchange your pieces. Now next one. You should exchange your
Yeah.
one advantage to another advantage. Now that is what happened. Also, this pawn is a bit loner now. If we are able to maybe play in future knight d4 or so, this pawn is gone. This is not a very safe location for the pawn. Anyway,
True.
so here he plays the bishop here so that next move he can play this move. Okay, but Smyslov, what should Smyslov play now in Smyslov style?
Bishop cross c2.
That is there, no, but there is one more powerful move you can make.
Mm,
Okay, he played b4. Nice, wow.
why?
He played b4 to stop the knight from coming here. So the knight cannot come here. Knight cannot come here.
Blocked.
Mm, blocked. So after that, so now he threatens to play this move, and Bondarevsky attacks the bishop, and he also attacks the uh, pawn. So he thinks that let me take black here, and maybe I can then run it some counterplay. But Smyslov not very much interested in that position. Like he goes for the queen side. So Bondarevsky plays king b2, okay, and knight to king to f2, and Smyslov plays pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, and now Smyslov goes for the another pawn, bishop to b1. Oh, sorry. Here, I think bishop takes c2. Then he played king to f2, knight to f2, not king to f2. This line is wrong.
Okay.
Bishop c2, knight f2. So he's putting pressure on this pawn. Knight takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. And now he places bishop to b1, attacking the pawn. Also, he is faced with this move as well. Like it will cut off the communication line. So Bondarevsky himself supports this pawn from here. Also, he puts some pressure on this pawn so that the knight remains where it is and doesn't move. Also, there is one more reason by which he goes. He faces that if Smyslov takes his this pawn, he will put a knight here and he will trap the bishop. Got it?
Yes.
So, yeah, bishop trapping, knight trapping, you see many things in this game.
Traps. Yep.
Okay. So this is what happened in the game. Smyslov did took the pawn. He was confident that he will be able to rescue the bishop. Alright. So what is Bondarevsky's plan? Maybe he wants that to play this bishop out from here, maybe here or here, and then get his king all the way here, and he can take the bishop. But there is too many moves for that to happen. You and now there are two ways by which you can dislodge this pawn. So this pawn has to go from here if the bishop has to come out, right? So
Oh,
but there are two ways, like either you can place this, but that is not good. Like the if you place this, then the bishop is still trapped, you see. There is no advantage in this. So you have to take a break from this one, from this side where the knight is not watching. So if this pawn is gone, then Bondarevsky's, sorry, the Smyslov's bishop will be having some air to come out. And you might note that all this happened like from here, bishop takes c2. So first move, this one, Smyslov took one pawn. Like if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the pawns were equal at this time. But playing this kind of trap, Smyslov went up by 2 pounds. Now, if you count, he's up by 2 pounds.
yeah.
So this could harm white, you know, in the long run. So one of the pawn has to be returned and free the bishop. Now Bondarevsky continues on the queen side. He wants to take maybe this bishop. And now Smyslov plays the move which we were all expecting since long. He played knight to d4, putting more pressure on the this pawn. And they say that okay,
Okay.
I won't drop my bishop, but instead I will take your pawn also. And that is if you want to prevent this, and then you have to take this. Like otherwise, my bishop won't be trapped anymore. In order to maintain this trap, Bondarevsky has to take this knight, or else there is no way, like to save this pawn and keep this bishop trapped. So he can take this. Smyslov takes it with the pawn. So let's say instead of this, if he places this move, okay, then Smyslov takes this, and let's say he places this move. Like the threat is to play f7.
Mm,
All right, but here also same move d5. f7 is stopped by this. All right.
true.
So let's say he places this here, and now I can put this here again, uh, supporting my pawn. Okay, and this is also like a position where this pawns will dominate. This bishop or this knight or something. These pawns are like have no competition, and this is also a losing position for white. So he takes this and he wants to bring his king here, maybe to harass this pawn, which is moved a bit far ahead than this, maybe to take it on this side. So he has some ideas like this, Bondarevsky. And now after taking this, bishop takes knight, pawn takes bishop. Yeah, he plays king to e2. So he goes near to the pawn, and now Smyslov can take this pawn, right? So now you can say we have around 3 pawn advantage, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 3 pawn advantage. This is a bishop, and you can say there is one more bishop with a 3 pawn advantage. So king after king
Mm,
takes pawn, he comes here, and Smyslov protects it with his king. Okay, now if you see, white king is dangerously closing in on the bishop. So now he
bishop
comes here, and now Smyslov plays
a4.
a4. So the idea is that I will play bishop takes pawn, check. You take it with this, and in the end, like you have a lot of advantage, right? So let's say I enter one null move, and I will press this, this. Still, this is winning for white, for black.
Black.
Yeah. Anyway, so with a4, but let's say he doesn't go for the bishop. If white doesn't go for the bishop, instead he goes for this pawns. Now, yeah. So he places his king here. Then also same continuation. a5. Let's say he takes this. Then also you can play this, and in the end, you are still winning with these 2 pawns.
True.
So there was no advantage in going to king c4. Better take the bishop with a4. So Smyslov places now a4 because one more move he cannot wait, because one more move and this bishop is gone. So now he has to play a4. So he plays the a4 at the right time. Okay. Now white thinks that if he plays some time pass move, then he will again lose this pawn. Like this bishop, I cannot hold it any longer. Let him go. I will take this pawn. Right. So now
Mm.
we have c5. Now this is a good idea that Smyslov doesn't go for this pawn. Like what we could have like done is maybe take the bishop out and oh god my bishop is saved. No, not like that. He knows that now my bishop has heir, proper heir, so there is no need to worry. Okay, so let him remain there. The king has not yet moved to b2. Why to worry?
True.
So he places c5. Now this pawn is running a5. Now Smyslov plays c4. He doesn't take his bishop here. Instead, he takes c4. But if this move, then he places d3 check. And here, white resign. Okay, thinking that
Yeah,
no man can hold out against three connected pass pawns. Come to think of it,
true.
if Bondarevsky like would have continued, okay, let's say he attacks this bishop. All right.
Mm.
So this is didn't happen in the game, but let's say he continued. Then you have c3 check. You take the bishop. He takes the your knight.
Knight.
Now, if you place this, right, so this was
Queen.
all calculated. No, if you say this is all calculated, maybe when Smyslov was moving c5. Okay, so this is all calculated. So a7, and now queen, and now queen. Okay, so yeah, queen is there, no problem. You can play b3 check. All right. Now playing b3 check, you have some options like you can play this move, but this will immediately lose the queen. All right. So another option is to play this move, knight to b2. So you have this. Remember the pawns are moving in this direction, so queen can take support of
Mm.
queen b7 check. Now again, if you place this, then gone queen, and if you place
Yeah.
this, then you are check and mate.
Mate.
All right. So this was the game between Smyslov and Bondarevsky, and so this is how.
No way out.
Yeah, no way out. Where are my bases? Let me put it here. Oh, I don't remember where I put my this one. Let me make a new name. No, Smyslov. Uh, Bondarevsky. I think his name was Isaac. Isaac Bondarevsky. Let me check. Bondarevsky chess. Oh, there was one guy in tennis as well. Igor Bondarevsky. So Igor Bondarevsky and Smyslov Vasily. Okay, this was in 1946,
Mm-hmm.
and tournament was Moscow, usual suspect, and this was a black win, right? Oh, you have this faces as well. So this is how they looked like. All right. So how to stop this stream? So yeah, this is the game between Masterpiece by Smyslov, you can say. So game started like this, and here he made one maybe some novelty. He tried to introduce Bondarevsky, and this is what happened. Like after that, Smyslov, like still we are in the opening phase, so nothing has been decided yet. And Smyslov goes on continuing with his. So F5 was a good move with e5, so e5 had a problem, like maybe he should have gone with the bishop g5 recommendation by Smidlow, but yeah, so e5 he went, and the knight is superbly placed here. Bishop d2, g5, knight e2. So for knight e2 he tries to take his bishop out to c3. Again he RS, so he wants to go to f6. Again he will go to d2. So none of the like the square, you can say this square is gone, this square is gone, this square is gone. So white only at this square in the center for him, which is
True.
a very bad thing. Like Smithlow again tries to take this. So you can see that this knight had only this square. Now when he it reached the here, no, it had only this square. So maybe in anticipation of this, Mislo already moved his thing so that he can bring a rook to control the d7 square. So much forward thinker he is. And here, Smyslov uses his king as well to force the knight to come here. Now he closes all the doors for the knight. Bondarevsky tries to uh, give the some fight by like not giving up the open file. Smyslov just captures both of his rooks, maybe exchange both of his rooks. F4. This was a good move. I like this F4. Even I like this move as well. The Nike E6 move.
Yeah.
Yeah, these two moves were very good. Completely in this and editing black. Yeah, this well like you can use as your tactics card. Maybe C6, so and Nike G4, then G5, H5. So F4, Knight D1 is the only chance that he can have. Bishop take F6. Now he takes the and then he places the on the vacant E4 square. He places the bishop. He is using his another bishop. So however good you are in strategy, you always need to take help of tactics from to get your one advantage converted into another. So he stops
True.
F3. Bishop takes C2. He goes for the queen side pawns. Knight F2. G F3. Exchanges. Bishop B1. Knight E4. Bishop A2. So this is all like a person can play this kind of move, knowing that which knight d2 is coming only if he's good in calculations. Otherwise, he cannot play. Like he will just play some normal move. This thing he has calculated everything. Smithlow.
Correct.
King f2, knight d4, bishop take d4, c d4. Yeah. So here also he was facing problem. Like it will still go. Like this was one variation where f7 was threatened, but this was also being neutralized because now the bishop actually protects that f7 square. Now he tries to take on the c5, but that is also being protected. Now this f7 square is not protected, so there is no possibility that he will play this move. So bishop takes d4, c d4, king e2, king f6. Now this pawn is gone. King d3, king e5, king c2, king c4 won't help because now also the pawn just goes away and this is also winning for white. So king d c2 and a4 because now he cannot delay a4. He has to play otherwise king b2 will win the bishop. So e4, bishop
Yeah.
a4. c5. So c4. So this I actually like the idea. You know, how much he will have calculated? Like almost you can say 7 moves he has gone in his calculation. But this is very straightforward. After this comes like white has only the pawn moves that he has to calculate. Smyslov has his moves to calculate. c3 check, king a2, a7, d1 queen, b3 check, and now white resign because king a3.
Yeah,
Okay, white resigned much earlier, maybe on move 43 only. Then
yeah,
here only
this
he
one.
resigned.
Yep, yep, yep.
This was the variation that we saw that this could have happened. This could have happened like that. If if this king a3, then he will lose his queen. If king a1, then he will have been mated. All right. So this is the recap of our today's game. Hope you like the
Yeah.
game.
Yes, very much.
Okay. Now, now I would like you to go through this game, on once again, like maybe after 2 3 days or something, make some database and store this game in your database, with along with the other games, and repeatedly go through this game ideas, patterns. If you recollect all your ideas again and again, like you will be having more chances in the tournament that you will be able to spot that pattern or idea more easily. Yeah,
True.
so that will train your
Yeah.
subconscious mind as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm ending the stream. Will no longer be live. Okay, fine. Okay.